These days, not a day goes by without something in the news about corruption in government in Ghana. It's nothing new. I mean, if you ask me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it was pretty much the same thing. What is it about corruption that makes it persist? Today, we thought we'd look back a bit and bring you an interview that we did 10 years ago with Vitus Azeem, the chief executive at the time of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, which was the local affiliate of Transparency International. You should hear what he had to say then 10 years ago under the administration of President Mills about corruption. What really will it take for us to change the status quo? Is Ghana doing well with corruption or getting worse?
Ghana is not doing well with corruption.
Ghana's corruption is getting more.
Well,
Is that it?
It is not gotten more, it's not improving. Just look at two reports.
Right.
The Corruption Perception Index that we launched last year in November.
Yeah.
Ghana scored 3.9 in 2009.
So Ghana is more towards corrupt than not corrupt.
Yes, less than 50%.
And is that how long has that been the case?
Oh, Ghana was included into this measurement since 1999.
So I'm saying,
and we've always scored 3.3, 3.4, 3.5. We scored 3.9 in 2002.
So it's not getting worse, it's not getting bad, really.
Well, for me, I would say that it's getting bad.
Why
if,
is it
if, you're
getting
not,
bad?
if you're not progressing, it's because
You're idle.
it's like
You're not doing worse, you're not doing better.
it's like you're in primary 4 and you're being repeated every year. You want to go to primary 5 and you're not going to primary 5 or primary. Not
And
to
where is
primary
Ghana's
6.
corruption? When people say there's corruption in Ghana, what areas are they speaking about? Ghana's corruption is where most of all? Government business, where?
Well, corruption is both private and public sector, but we are more worried about the public sector. The public sector is more because they are in a position to put in place measures to curb corruption. So, for example, the president has powers to bring to Parliament certain laws that will promote transparency and ensure that corruption is reduced.
Yeah.
He is in a position to order the Attorney General to investigate allegations of corruption and prosecute them.
But they never get anywhere with these things. Can you tell me, you have experience, you are from another, tell me really, why do you think that it is so common, what you just described it, for the president to initiate something or somebody, but nothing comes out of it? For example, now there's maybe Johnson has been in the news, it's more or less disappearing now, or maybe it's not disappearing, I don't know. But there are a number of things. Do you really think anybody's going to get punished for anything?
Well, we still hope that something is going to be done. Today, the president promised again that we are going to see some action. Let's hope that it's again not one of those political ways, that there's really going to be action. But then that is blamed on lack of political will, lack of commitment to fight corruption, especially when it comes to people within your own circle, like the same party, the same family, the same tribe. And that is the problem that we're having in this country. We need leaders who will say that you are my own brother, you've done this wrong, you are going to be brought before court and prosecuted. You belong to the same party, but this is not what you do. But then our political system contributes to it. The way that we have monetized our democracy, even at the district assembly level, for a minister to be, a DC, to be approved by the district assembly, he or she has to go pay money to the members of the assembly. And nothing is done about it. So that is the problem with our corruption, our failure to actually succeed in the fight against corruption. And until we get leaders who say that, look,
but how can you say that? You see, my point is you are the one to help, and you're saying until you get leaders. Up to that point, I understand you when you say what you said. But when you say until you get, you see, that's what worries me. That it means we are at the mercy of the leaders. And meanwhile, you're saying we can do something about it.
But we're in a democracy.
Which is it?
We're in a democracy, and we at least, even if you get 50.1% as president, you have been elected by Ghanaians.
Yeah.
And so until 4 years' time, we have to wait. Except continue to make noise, continue to call on government and to do something about it.
We should hold them accountable.
Yes, but the holding accountable, how do you hold them accountable? That's where there's a weakness. Can you come out, can you get, for example, at the district assembly, can you get the assembly members to sign a letter saying that this DC is not the right DC for us, let's remove him?
Corruption is becoming
because
another political tool.
Yes.
Corruption too is become politicized.
And corruption
That's
thrives.
Dangerous. You agree with me?
Corruption thrives.
Yes.
On politics, and politics thrives on corruption.
So people who are
in a better position to rule this country but do not have resources, have no way of getting into the leadership, and that's the problem.
And people are punished not really because of what they have done, but because they must be punished for political purposes. Do you see the danger with it? What I'm saying is it mixes everything up. So it means that those people, so how do we even know, if you and I even start calling for people to be punished, how do we even know that will not be abused? Do you see what I mean? Maybe nobody should be punished. In this system, nobody should be punished.
Well, you cannot say that because some people are likely to abuse it, nobody should be punished. Then you continue to go down the...
But if you have a system where the punishment is meted out, not because really of what the person has done, but because that the person has not only just done it, but it's not your political friend, so then it should be punished, then it's warped the justice, something is wrong.
Then you go back to my 3 factors: transparency, accountability, and participation.
Yeah.
If you are in party A and you are being investigated on some allegations of corruption, and the investigation is done in an open way, transparent way, and they come and say, you've chopped money, these are the receipts, these are the vouchers you signed to go and pay some journalists. And you cannot deny.
So what stops? So why is that not happening now? What stops that?
Well,
why not? Is that the why?
Because the president says he's slow but sure. So let's just hope that the sure will come in addition to the slow.
Let's talk about something more positive. Is there hope? Is there hope? What can we do? Tell me, what can Ghana integrate? You see, I ask you this because there's no point in another 10 years down the line, I meet you and you give me a list of all the things that went wrong.
Yes.
You see, that's what I'm worried about. Yeah. So I want you to tell me about how you think an organization like yours and many others of its kind, the path you intend to pursue to become effective and ensure that the things that you want to see happen do actually occur.
We need at least 3 things. We have some laws in the country that seek to curb corruption, promote transparency and all that, but they are not adequate. Certain areas there are no laws, or there are laws but there are gaps in the laws, so they are not operational. So we need to enact a few more laws, and what immediately comes to mind is this right to information bill that is pending before Parliament. Our problem with that is that up to now, a lot of us have not seen even the draft bill before Parliament, and yet we're expected to give comments to that bill by Tuesday. How do we do that if we haven't seen the document? We don't know what they have put in there. And I'll give you an example. There is another bill, Public Office Holders Liability Bill. In there, it talks about asset declaration, but there's a clause inserted there that says that the information obtained under this law shall be kept confidential. So if you declare your assets and it's kept in an envelope and kept in the Auditor General's office, and you've put in there that you have 10 houses because you hope to build 10 houses in the next 10 years, how do I challenge that if I don't see it? So it's not necessary just to bring bills before Parliament, but to let the public see. Again, participation comes in. See them, make an input. So there are some gaps in our legal system that need to be filled. Secondly, we also need to now be able to strengthen the institutions that work on these things. You can forget about the civil society groups. They look for their own money to do their work. But institutions like Commission on Human Rights and Military Justice, Audit Service, Attorney General's Department, the police, the judiciary, you need to strengthen them, not just with resources, but also give them adequate independence to be able to do their work without any interference. Of course, if they are able to get enough resources, they recruit people with the necessary...
You want a perfect situation.
Well, but...
You want
but
that's
what we're looking for.
How can you say, I mean, in this environment,
yes,
how can you expect a perfect situation? I mean, there has to be, I mean, something other than...
But those things, you need those things.
No, I agree.
For it to work. Otherwise, you are meeting the things halfway. And once you decide to meet halfway, you don't have the commitment. And so you will not succeed. So, for example, you have to decide that education is our #1 priority in this country. And so we are ready to spend all the money that we're getting from the oil to make sure that every village has a school building. That children don't sit on the floor to write. That we train more teachers. If you decide that you don't want to do that, then you are meeting halfway, and you cannot expect that. You cannot expect to reduce the number of children on the street selling dog chains.
But who doesn't want to do that? All governments have great intentions, and some
because our priorities are not right. You see, our priorities, there are certain areas that we don't need to spend money, which we spend money on.
Well, give me an area where we are spending money, we shouldn't be spending money.
Well, maybe I shouldn't. Okay, this was in the public domain.
Please.
The ex gratia awards.
That's an area where we shouldn't be spending money.
Well, not spending money, but so much money for ex gratia awards. Someone has worked for 4 years, and it takes so much. and you have been working for 30 years as a policeman or a nurse in the hospital, and when you are leaving, you don't get 1/10 of that. Do you think we have priorities? Are we serious about our nurses, our
But
doctors?
people are in different positions.
Different positions?
Absolutely. There are people
What
that are
do
in
you
senior
need?
positions who
Yes.
can earn 10 times the income of somebody else.
Yes.
That's legitimate.
But if when you look at that, you even look at public corporations,
Yes.
boards,
Yeah.
having official cars and fuel. They have their own private jobs, but they are serving on boards, and they are being given free cars, free fuel, free telephone, everything, and they use it for their private business. There are so many things that you can look at and say these are all signs of corruption. In fact, institutionalized corruption. And these are things that we need to address.
This is all within the government area, right?
Yes,
The
I'm
state
talking of the
sector,
government area. Talk of the government
That's
area.
it.
So
Good luck with the battle
thank you
against corruption.
Yes,
It's
but
a long battle.
yes, but I also call on the media. You are doing very well. Please, let you continue to do that. Let's at least blow up these things on air.
Well, I don't know about you, but I know for sure that every time I look back on an interview like that, I kind of wonder whether we haven't been just standing in one place. I've written my thoughts about how I think we can fight corruption. I mean, it is really endemic and it's not going to be easy. But if you go to my blog, you'll notice a piece there, the latest piece I've done. I want you to read it and let me know what you think about it. This is a subject that I think we're going to be coming back to more and more. Thanks for watching.